Hash the most venomous animals in the world. Vertical bar no antidote for these deadly creatures. It's a dangerous world. Competition is fierce. Every corner of the earth is a battlefield. A chemical weapon can provide an unfair advantage, with the power to defeat an opponent with a single strike. A venomous harpoon shot, a deadly sting, a dangerous bite. But beware of the venomous defenders. Make them your meal, and you'll die a slow, agonizing death. In an evolutionary arms race, the world's venomous animals have wielded their poisons and toxins against each other over millions of years, perfecting and refining their deadly mixtures, concentrating death into a single drop. Hidden beneath the ocean floor, lurking in the dark crevices of the earth, and darting through the underbrush. These are the most venomous animals in the world. Australia is a land of extremes. From its crashing coastlines to its arid desert heart, the continent is home to some of the world's most venomous creatures, and many of them are found in its harsh red center. Here, life exists on a razor's edge, and there are no second chances. Deep within a rock crevice, a brood of inland taipans is hatching. One by one, tiny heads emerge, tasting the air with flickering tongues. These are the most venomous snakes in the world, deadly from the moment of their birth. A single bite can deliver toxins strong enough to kill 100 people. This first hour is their only moment of togetherness. From now on, the snakes will lead solitary lives. They must hunt and fend for themselves. At first glance, it seems barren and empty. But this is a land that pulses to the rhythm of boom and bust. When the great rains come, rivers overflow their banks and spread across the plains, bringing life to parched soils. They sustain a surprising diversity of flowering desert shrubs that provide nutritious seeds and stems for hungry small mammals. And that means good meals for the young inland taipans. But not all of them will get a share, because even such potent baby snakes have their enemies. The king brown snake is a cannibalistic killer that hunts reptiles. The young taipan has little defense. Its venom is geared toward mammals, not snakes. And the king brown snake has additionally developed a particular immunity to most snake venoms. The young taipan's day as a feared hunter is over before it's even begun. As they grow larger, the taipans have less to fear. Adults can reach an impressive length of up to 2.5 meters, also known as the fierce snake. Its name belies its true nature. It's mostly a shy reptile and is rarely seen, unless you're on the menu. While hunting during the day, the taipan can sense where small desert mammals are hiding. By detecting fine vibrations in the ground and smelling scents on the wind, it locates its prey. This is the domain of the native plains rat. Protected from the hot sun in its deep, cool burrow, the rodent is a staple of the fierce snake's diet. When it strikes, its jaws can snap shut multiple times, leaving a series of puncture wounds. Snakes can die from rodent bites if the wounds become infected. A fast-acting venom reduces the chance of a counterattack. The venom is injected from glands in the snake's head through two short fangs that act like hypodermic needles. It's a potent combination. Neurotoxins bind to nerve endings, effectively interrupting the transmission of nerve signals and causing paralysis. At the same time, myotoxins act on the muscles, breaking down tissue. As the muscles weaken and breathing fails, the rat begins to suffocate. Hemotoxins also act on the blood, causing massive clots that can block arteries and stop the heart. It doesn't take long for the rat to die. Unable to tear apart its prey, the taipan must swallow it whole. The rat is positioned for head-first ingestion so the snake can swallow it with the grain of its fur. Incredibly flexible muscles in the jaw allow for a wide gape, and the elastic skin gives the snake amazing stretchability. Eventually, every trace of the rat is gone. Its entire body has been absorbed, and digestion has already begun. The inland taipan is a specialist mammal hunter. That means its venom can also have devastating effects on the human body. The first symptoms appear after about 20 minutes. They range from nausea to headaches to dizziness. The most serious early effect is the disruption of blood clotting, which can kill a person with frightening speed in just 30 minutes. On the other side of the planet, the sun beats down on a very different desert landscape. Here, beneath the giant cacti of the American West, life and death struggles are fought between its many unusual inhabitants. Conflicts can be fierce, even in miniature. Among the rocks, a sun spider is hunting. It's not a true spider and looks so much like a scorpion that it's also called a wind scorpion, mainly because of its remarkable speed. Digging in the soil, it discovers a moth. For its size, the sun spider has massive, powerful jaws, up to a third of its body length. With a shearing motion, it crushes the moth into pulp. But this delicious find is also the sun spider's misfortune. This noisy chewing has attracted the unwanted attention of a much more venomous predator, the giant hairy scorpion. With poor eyesight, the scorpion compensates with highly sensitive hairs all over its body. These detect tiny vibrations and allow it to precisely locate prey. And the crunching and grinding of the sun spider at its moth feast lure the scorpion from its hiding place. The two predators look surprisingly similar but differ greatly in their attack capabilities. Neither is willing to back down from a fight. But the scorpion's toxin delivers a blow from above, administering a deadly injection. Scorpion venom blocks the transport of chemicals into muscle cells that allow them to relax. The result is a contraction of muscles throughout the body, causing paralysis. This is the end for the sun spider, which is torn apart by a pair of much smaller jaws. As night falls, the hunter becomes the hunted, as a hungry rodent goes on the prowl. This is the carnivorous grasshopper mouse, which tries to eat all kinds of creatures, including scorpions. Although they possess a special ability to resist the effects of the venom, a sting to the face is not a pleasant experience, and the scorpion lives to see another day. Scorpions have been around since before the dinosaurs and have developed a rich arsenal of toxins tailored to their prey, or predators. There are about 2,000 different species, but for all their fearsome reputation, only a few dozen have venom strong enough to kill a human. The most venomous scorpion in these parts is the Arizona bark scorpion, an incredibly patient ambush hunter that can lie and wait for hours. But when prey comes close enough, the reaction is lightning fast. Gripping the moth and snapping with its toxin, the scorpion will continue to sting repeatedly to find gaps in the exoskeleton and penetrate the soft body. The sting can cause numbness, severe pain, difficulty swallowing, and sometimes muscle cramps and spasms. The symptoms can be long-lasting, up to 3 days, and in rare cases the sting can be fatal. Death is usually from heart or respiratory failure. For the moth, however, it's over in a few minutes. The venom will soften the prey for easy digestion. Even the smallest animals can deliver incredibly painful venoms, like the harvester ant. These are the feared ants of Apache legends, an insect so aggressive and potent that tribes supposedly left their enemies on harvester ant mounds to die an agonizing death. Gripping with their pincers, they can sting repeatedly. The venom is much more effective on vertebrates than insects and can kill a mouse with just a few stings. For humans, the main symptom is pain. This is due to a cocktail of toxins in their venom, which is said to be 20 times more painful than a bee sting. During mating season, the swarms of winged dancers can number in the thousands. Pheromones released by the males attract a host of females, who are eventually overwhelmed by the largest and most persistent members of the opposite sex. It's a mating festival that also presents a prime opportunity for the thick-skinned horned lizard. Harvester ants are an acquired taste, but the lizard lives almost exclusively on a diet of these vicious insects. It escapes their venomous sting by coating each ant in a ball of mucus and swallowing it whole. In the digestive system, the toxins can be quickly neutralized by stomach acids. As the ants become aware of their deadly intruder, they release an alarm pheromone that attracts even more stinging ants. Such tactics may have been effective in dealing with Apache enemies, but for the thick-skinned reptile, they're just the second course in its all-you-can-eat buffet. The lizards of the Sonoran Desert are not to be underestimated. Some are venomous themselves, like the feared Gila monster, a perfectly adapted, slow-moving hunter. The Gila monster has a forked tongue. Unusual for a lizard, it uses it like a snake to pick up chemical traces of its prey on the wind, which lead the lizard onward and upward to the scent of birds. This is a specialist nest robber. It can climb giant cacti and trees to plunder unguarded eggs. But the Gila monster also has a taste for the living. And for a brood of young pack rats, life doesn't last long. The reptile emerges from its burrow only a few times a year to feed, but can swallow about a third of its body mass in one sitting. Even adult animals can fall victim to the giant lizard's stranglehold. Although it has a venomous bite, the Gila monster's venom is more often used for defense. It produces venom in the salivary glands of its lower jaw. When it bites down on victims, it chews, allowing neurotoxins to flow through grooves in its teeth directly into the open wound. For humans, the venom is not fatal, but it is agonizing. It's said to be the most painful of all vertebrate venoms, like hot lava flowing through the veins. And because their grinding jaws are so strong, the victim may have to submerge the lizard in water to free itself. Fortunately for the Gila monsters, they are immune to each other. So when romance comes into play and the males fight for the prize, the greatest danger is physical damage. With a short, powerful skull, their goal is to bite long and hard, potentially causing devastating damage. With both opponents strong, vicious, and determined, the epic fights can last for hours. With one lizard's leg in the other's jaws, they roll and writhe until the loser finally lets go. Of all the reptilian killers in America, none has the fearsome reputation of this mighty pit viper. There are 13 different species of rattlesnake, but the eastern diamondback rattlesnake is the most impressive. Reaching lengths of up to 2.5 meters, it's a highly venomous killer. So it's best to heed its two main warning signals, the hiss and the rattle. The secret of its rattle lies in small segments of keratin that sit loosely in the tip of its tail. When shaken, they produce the famous rattling sound. The warning has a simple meaning: back off while you still can. The rattlesnake has a formidable strike and can strike accurately from a distance of a third of its body length. It stalks prey using a unique extra sense. It can essentially see warm-blooded organisms through special holes in its face, the pit organs. These contain a special membrane that can detect infrared radiation, creating a thermal image of the prey in its brain. These extraordinary heat pits can detect tiny temperature changes of less than 1/100th of a degree. Through long curved fangs on its upper jaw, it injects its venom subcutaneously. The toxins can destroy tissue, including red blood cells, preventing clotting and making bleeding difficult to stop, both externally and internally. Around the bite, local swelling and dead tissue appear, while more severe effects occur due to the destruction of the blood. Low blood pressure and fatigue in the muscles are major symptoms. Drooping eyelids, thirst, nausea, diarrhea, and severe pain are also signs that the venom is taking effect. Without antivenom, a rattlesnake bite can kill a human within 24 hours, but the snake rarely attacks unless provoked. And since the majority of bites occur in young adult males, testosterone might be a bigger killer than the snake itself. While extreme desert conditions can be a recipe for extreme adaptations and fearsome hunters, marine life can also be surprisingly hostile, especially when living on coral reefs. Here, an extraordinary diversity of creatures must live in limited space and find a way to survive constant confrontations. That could be a driving force behind the complex and refined toxins found in marine animals, and their most striking creatures are often the deadliest. This small, brightly colored cephalopod has venom 1,000 times more powerful than cyanide, the blue-ringed octopus. Its name points to its most dangerous state. When the animal is disturbed, iridescent blue rings appear on its skin. These warning signals can flash at a rate of 3 times per second, controlled by contracting and relaxing skin pouches around the markings. The parts that reflect bright blue and green light are called iridophores, and around these rings are darkly pigmented chromatophores that can expand to provide a dark contrast that emphasizes the bright rings. It's a dramatic and deliberate alarm display. Normally, it hangs in the warm, shallow water zones, a place where it's likely to encounter prey. Depending on the creature they're hunting, the octopus changes its hunting tactics. They like to ambush small crabs from behind, but this crustacean has become aware of its pursuer. Darting through the algae, it escapes the octopus, shooting under a rock and out of reach. But octopuses are clever and patient, and as the crab emerges, the blue-ringed octopus resumes the hunt. This time it's a surprise attack. On the underside of its head, the octopus has a parrot-like beak that it uses to crack open the crab's protective shell. As it bites, venom is injected from the salivary gland. What's peculiar about the venom itself is that it's not produced by the octopus. Instead, it relies on marine bacteria to synthesize it. They seem to have a symbiotic relationship with their host. The bacteria get a safe haven to live, eat, and reproduce, while the octopus gets a formidable chemical weapon by using the tetrodotoxin produced by the bacteria. Mostly, the octopus uses the venom for smaller animals like crabs. In the victim, it blocks nerve transmission, leading to paralysis. The crab remains conscious as the octopus tears its body apart piece by piece. If you're unlucky enough to be bitten by an angry octopus, the consequences are swift and potentially fatal. As the voluntary muscles become paralyzed, the victim suffers loss of motor skills and eventually respiratory muscle failure. Death usually occurs from oxygen deprivation, and that can happen within minutes. Although there is no antidote, there's a good chance of survival if artificial respiration can be continued until the venom is broken down. Fortunately, the octopus is mostly nocturnal and spends most of the day in some crevice it's made its home. In an equally fascinating package as the blue-ringed octopus, the spectacular-looking lionfish is a beauty not to be messed with. Its soft, delicate appearance belies a voracious predator. With special swim bladders, they can move through the water with precision. This allows them to aggressively corner prey against rocks or the seafloor and strike quickly, swallowing smaller fish whole as they approach. They also blow jets of water to cause confusion and position the target for head-first ingestion. With highly venomous, painful spines, anyone who tries to touch them is in for a nasty shock. When the spines penetrate the skin, toxins flow from venom glands into 2 grooves in the spines. The stings are not fatal, but the pain is so overwhelming that it can cause sweating, nausea, and even shortness of breath, depending on the number of penetrating spines and the individual's sensitivity to the venom. More than 50% of the world's venomous vertebrates are fish, and the most venomous of all is a brilliantly camouflaged relative of the lionfish. In fact, you could be forgiven for overlooking it entirely, the stonefish. It's commonly found lurking on the seafloor off the Australian coast. As its name suggests, it looks like a stone, one that looks like it's been lying on the reef for so long it's completely overgrown with algae. Individuals can be adorned with splashes of color on a brown or gray base, helping them blend in with the nearby coral. With such excellent camouflage, it's almost impossible to spot, even for fish. But it's all a great deception, because when it wants to, the stonefish can move so fast that an attack is over in a fraction of a second. With a formidable jaw and a huge mouth, it creates such a strong vacuum that it can suck in small fish in an instant. Its venom is equally brutal. Like the lionfish, the stonefish uses its venom exclusively for defense. The venom glands are located about a third of the way along its 13 dorsal fin spines. When the fish is threatened, it raises its spines to protect itself from potential predators from above. And if you accidentally step on one, the experience will be seared into your memory forever. When the spines penetrate the skin, the venom is injected, causing a paralyzing, burning pain. In severe cases, the venom can also cause dilation of blood vessels, leading to low blood pressure, weakness, nausea, vomiting, and heart attacks. It can kill a human in less than an hour, but if you immerse the affected limb in hot water above 40 degrees Celsius, the venom can be deactivated. Venomous animals are often called poisonous, but they're quite different. Both types of animals contain toxins, but the method of delivery distinguishes them. Venom is injected into the flesh and travels through tissue or vessels to produce its effect, while poison must be touched, inhaled, or ingested. As venomous animals have evolved and adapted over time, their chemical arsenal has been finely tuned to the vulnerabilities of their targets, with hundreds, even thousands of components working together for maximum effect. Nature's venoms have been perfected and shaped by the same competitive pressures, secreted through pores or stored in tissues. These chemical defenses can cause equally devastating damage, but the warning signs are there if you know where to look. The pufferfish is one such poisonous marine inhabitant. Often brightly colored and decorative, its striking patterns are a good indication to keep your distance. The slow-moving fish is far from an easy target. It spends most of its time hovering above the reef, chewing algae, or searching for small invertebrates like mussels and cockles, which it can crack open with its hard beak. But at the first sign of danger, it inflates itself to many times its normal size by filling its stomach with water. Suddenly resembling a football, it's almost impossible to eat without choking. If you persist, the consequences can be fatal, because pufferfish are full of the same tetrodotoxin as the blue-ringed octopus. They ingest the toxin-producing bacteria by eating the tissue of other marine animals. It's believed that these bacteria find a new suitable home in the fish's intestines, where they continue to produce the deadly toxin. These poisons are then absorbed into the fish's tissues. Initial symptoms can appear about 20 minutes after consumption. First felt as a tingling of the lips and mouth, followed by dizziness, tingling limbs, speech difficulties, progressing to muscle weakness and paralysis, vomiting and diarrhea. The unfortunate eater remains conscious while being unable to speak, breathe, or move. In severe cases, death can occur from respiratory paralysis. Since there is no antidote, the only treatment option is to empty the stomach and provide life support until the venom is broken down. Despite such an impressive defense system, the pufferfish is not immune to attack in the marine environment, and sometimes it's the most unassuming landscapes that prove to be the deadliest. On the seafloor, a strange predator lurks with a lightning-fast ambush. Blind and brainless, but surprisingly brutal, the bobbit worm is one of the most fearsome creatures found in marine sediments. It can grow up to 3 meters long, but its long body is often completely hidden. That's why it's also known as the sand striker. As it lies in wait, only a fraction of the animal is visible. Its oddly shaped head with 5 tiny antennae protrudes from the sand to sense disturbances in the water column. Like the delicate currents of a floating pufferfish, unaware of the predator beneath it, the monstrous bobbit worm attacks, dragging its victim with razor-sharp teeth into the debris. Its power is so great that it can cut a fish in half. Even the venomous pufferfish has little defense against the fury of a bobbit worm attack. As the fish stop fighting within minutes of capture, scientists suspect that its jaws may be connected to venom glands that help stun and digest the prey. Snails are among the least threatening animals on land, but their marine relatives can be amazingly vicious and deadly. Like their land-dwelling counterparts, they're slow, but this textile cone snail is rapidly approaching its prey. It hunts other snails by tracking them with its oral siphon. Directly below is a smaller but much more fearsome appendage. That's a proboscis you don't want to lay eyes on. Inside is a harpoon-like tooth, so sharp it can penetrate a wetsuit. The proboscis probes for the weak spot and fires. Poisoned, the snail is slowly sucked out of its shell and eaten. Even a hermit crab that senses the danger faces a determined predator. Desperately hopping away, it has speed and a few extra legs on its side. Although they're slow, some snails hunt fish. Like the geography cone snail, which can use an angling method with its venomous harpoon or net fish into its huge expandable mouth to draw them closer. The proboscis can even act as a lure. Once the hit lands, the animal fights for only a few seconds before a special, fish-specific toxin takes effect, stunning it and rendering it immobile so the snail can slowly swallow it whole. By hunting at night when the fish are resting, the cone snail gains an additional advantage. Unaware of the danger, this fish is a sitting target. The tooth fires, connecting prey to attacker and reeling it in. The harpoon is shot out by a powerful muscle contraction while still attached to the snail's radula, a tongue-like structure. Harpoons are stored here in a special sac filled with venom from the venom bulb. When the tooth hits, it releases the venom, which contains hundreds, even thousands of different toxins. It's so complex that no antidote has been developed for the devastating effects of the venom. The cone snail uses two completely different types of venom, depending on whether it's hunting or defending itself against predators. Incredibly, they seem to mix these chemical cocktails on the fly depending on the target. Like a mobile chemistry lab, it can also deliver a form of insulin into the water column to stun prey. Once this passes through the fish's gills, the animal goes into hypoglycemic shock and cannot react as it's slowly engulfed. When it wakes up, it's too late. Hours later, fish bones are spat back out. The venom that targets fish has no effect on humans, but the snail can quickly switch to its defensive venom, which can be fatal. The pain can range from mild to severe. Numbness or tissue death at the wound site follows. The body can experience weakness, sweating, vision problems, paralysis, heart failure, respiratory failure, and possibly death in just 5 hours. In another part of the reef, a small predatory mollusk shuffles across the seafloor. In an incredible buffet of shapes and colors, the sea slug is perhaps one of the most surprising venomous animals in the world. Described as psychedelic thieves, they don't produce toxins themselves. They steal them from others. These extravagantly colored predators hunt cnidarians like soft corals, jellyfish, and sea anemones, appropriating their stinging cells in the most fascinating way. Cnidarians normally deter all kinds of predators with microscopic harpoon-like structures, nematocysts, fired from their tentacles. But this defense is rendered useless by the colorful sea slug, which coats them with mucus as it overpowers them. This seems to prevent many of the nematocysts from firing. The sea slug's mouth and throat are also lined with a tough tissue called chitin, which helps them eat their prey without getting hurt. Chitinous discs also protect their insides. Any unfired nematocysts that survive this digestive process are stored in special sacs that extend into their brightly colored outer appendages. These decorative fan-like structures are actually gills called serrata, and from here the stolen nematocysts are fired. Like tiny grenades, they're shot out for defense, releasing their venom into attackers. But they can do more than just steal stinging cells. Some even absorb toxins from sponges, making them poisonous to eat. The ability to deactivate and bypass the nematocyst's sting is a remarkable, if not enviable, trait, because some of them can be extraordinarily potent. When summer comes, the seas of northern Australia are a place you might not want to go swimming, because another fan of the clear, warm tropical waters is the box jellyfish. Jellyfish have the oldest venomous lineage, dating back 700 million years. And this brainless, heartless creature is the most venomous animal in the world. In the last 70 years, more than 5,000 people have died from its toxins. The box jellyfish gets its name from its strangely cubic body. Even without a nervous system, they manage what many other jellyfish cannot. They can swim. Instead of simply drifting with the currents, they can move purposefully and directionally at about 4 knots. They have multiple eyes, though it's unclear how they process visual information. But their tentacles evoke the most fascination and fear. They have 15 tentacles at each corner of the cube, 60 in total, trailing behind them for up to 3 meters. These stinging cells can wrap around the body like sticky shoelaces, and they're laden with venom and ready to fire. With hair-like triggers on their stinging cells, box jellyfish release their microscopic, deadly harpoons upon contact with prey or predators. They fire at a speed of about 60 kilometers per h. Each contains a tiny tube that everts as the dart penetrates the skin and discharges its venom. The bigger the struggle, the further the entanglement, and the more venom is released, increasing the toxic load. The fish is slowly and agonizingly drawn into the bell, caught on multiple lines. At the center of the bell, the jellyfish has a mouth that leads to a single cavity where food is slowly digested. The box jellyfish is so deadly because it can fire hundreds of thousands of these hellish miniature rockets at once, unleashing a tidal wave of venom that can stop the human heart in less than 5 minutes. The first sensation can be likened to dozens of needles piercing the skin, or a hot branding iron, followed by the rapid loss of motor skills and breathing. The venom contains proteins that can punch holes in red blood cells, causing them to release large amounts of potassium, which can trigger a heart attack. In fatal cases, most victims die from cardiac arrest. In tropical waters around the world, another stinging jellyfish strikes fear into swimmers in a much smaller package. The Irukandji are almost invisible, transparent and small, with a bell about the size of a sugar cube. They have only 4 tentacles. Yet in Australia, they hospitalize more people each year than snakes, sharks, and crocodiles combined. And because they're so small, they can easily slip through the nets used to filter out box jellyfish. Tiny clusters of nematocysts on their tentacles do more than just fire venom. They act as bait for prey. The Irukandji twitch and writhe their tentacles, attracting the attention of small fish. To them, the tiny dots look like food morsels. As they come in to investigate, they get stung, often right in the mouth. Unlike with the box jellyfish, the initial sting can be mild, meaning the Irukandji can go unnoticed until the effects escalate into a terrible combination of symptoms known as Irukandji syndrome. About 20 minutes after the nematocysts have fired, severe pain sets in, sometimes throughout the body. Breathing difficulties, constant vomiting, and violent cramps can follow. But the most disturbing effects can be psychological, including a sense of impending doom, restlessness, and an unsettling feeling on the skin. Severe high blood pressure can lead to heart failure or brain hemorrhage. Since there's no antidote, doctors can only treat the symptoms as they occur. And the Irukandji threat is a problem that isn't going away. With a preference for warmer waters, their ideal habitat is slowly expanding. Around the world, more than 100,000 animals produce venom or toxins. From the brainless to the cunning, venom has been refined in animals as diverse as bees and lizards, jellyfish and spiders. By repurposing molecules already present in the body, in the blood, brain, or digestive tract, nature's life support systems can become nature's greatest killers. So complex and perfect that they're a source of inspiration for scientists developing everything from blood clotting and blood pressure treatments to painkillers and heart medications. Ironically, the venoms and toxins of the world's most venomous animals are more likely to save your life than to kill you. It's a dangerous world. Competition is fierce. Every corner of the earth is a battlefield. A chemical weapon can be an unfair advantage, with the power to defeat an opponent with a single strike, a venomous harpoon shot, a deadly sting, a dangerous bite. But beware of the venomous defenders. Make them your meal and you'll die a slow, agonizing death. In an evolutionary arms race, the world's venomous animals have wielded their poisons and toxins against each other over millions of years, perfecting and refining their deadly mixtures, concentrating death into a single drop. Hidden beneath the ocean floor, lurking in the dark crevices of the earth, and darting through the underbrush. These are the most venomous animals in the world. The world's forests teem with life. With moisture, cover, and a temperate climate, they provide the right conditions for more than half of the world's plants, animals, and insects. With so much competition, many species try to gain an edge over others with a potent venom or toxin. And with millions of years to develop the perfect chemical brew, even the smallest forest dwellers can take down opponents with a single venomous drop. Near the coast, the temperate forests of southeastern Australia provide just the right climate and habitat for one of the deadliest spiders in the world, the Sydney funnel web spider. A drop of its venom is toxic enough to kill a human in 15 minutes. It lives in bushland and gardens, sheltered among rocks or logs, in a silk-lined burrow. The web is distinctive, a funnel-shaped entrance created by a mass of irregular silken trip lines. Even the lightest footsteps over this ingenious trap will certainly be noticed. Just below the rim, a female funnel web spider lies in wait, her front legs on the silk threads, poised for enticing vibrations. Room service has arrived. The cricket is dragged down into the spider's lair, a dark, damp hole from which it will never return. The females rarely leave their burrows, but the males hunt abroad in damp conditions, eating almost anything they can kill. Although the female is larger, the male funnel web is up to 6 times more venomous. Only the male is known to kill humans, and it's most dangerous when out hunting. Rearing up into an attack stance, the spider bites with a force strong enough to penetrate a human fingernail or the hard exoskeleton of an insect. Most spiders have fangs that point inward, so they can use them as pincers when biting. But the funnel web has parallel curved, hollow fangs connected to 2 venom glands. They pierce and inject simultaneously to deliver an extremely complex and potent mixture. Neurotoxins produce a rapid effect on the nervous system by disrupting the cells that coordinate body functions. Ambushed and overwhelmed, a cricket is quickly immobilized. The funnel web toxins have specifically evolved to kill insects and cause rapid paralysis. But over time, the venom of the males has also been modified not just against prey, but also against potential predators like lizards. During mating season, the males emerge from their burrows, drawn by the desire for a mate. Their wandering nature puts them at greater risk of becoming a meal themselves, which is thought to be why they have more potent venom. They do their best to find a female outdoors. Entering her burrow carries a high probability of being eaten. Mating is an extremely risky act for the male. Even outdoors, if his courtship displays aren't successful or he doesn't flee quickly enough after mating, he can still end up as her next meal. He quickly transfers his sperm packet and hastily retreats, happy to be alive. The Sydney funnel web spider is found within a 100 kilometers radius of Australia's most populous city. Like us, they like to stay near water. Searching for a mate, the males can wander into human territory under garden tools or into houses. Funnel web spiders die quickly in direct sunlight, so they're attracted to moist and dark hiding places. Cornered, the spider is ready to defend itself. It often strikes repeatedly, envenomating multiple times. And in an unfortunate evolutionary accident, both insects and primates are highly susceptible to the male funnel web's venom. It contains a neurotoxin called robustoxin. It works specifically by causing nerves to fire constantly throughout the body. Early signs are pain at the bite site, then tingling around the mouth and headache, progressing to sweating and muscle cramps. A racing heartbeat combined with shortness of breath can be a fatal combination. The most dangerous place for a bite is the torso, where a pressure bandage cannot be applied and death is almost certain. Somewhere in tropical Asia, an equally fearsome but much larger predator moves silently and swiftly across the leaf-strewn jungle floor. A king cobra, the largest venomous snake in the world. This is a phenomenal snake reaching sizes of up to 5 meters in length. When confronted, they can lift a third of their body off the ground, allowing them to look a person in the eye. It's not a sight for the faint-hearted. But today's target is much closer to the ground, a reptile very much like itself. The king cobra is a cannibal. It feeds mainly on other snakes. And the meal it has in its sights is a rat snake. The king cobra has excellent eyesight and can spot prey up to 90 meters away. The rat snake has no escape as the cobra approaches. It has 2 short and sharp upper fangs that act as delivery tubes for the venom. Although it's not the most potent of snake venoms, what it lacks in potency, it makes up for in quantity. One injection contains enough neurotoxins to kill an elephant or 20 people. It contains a particularly powerful peptide toxin that blocks the body's ability to control muscles in response to signals from the brain. The rat snake defends itself as best it can, but its bite has little effect on the king cobra. Even multiple hits to the face don't deter the attacker. The rat snake is non-venomous, and even if it were, the cobra has special protection. It has evolved a genetic mutation that makes it immune to the neurotoxins of other snakes. Its venom cannot dock onto the receptors of the cobra's cells, so it can subdue its prey without fear of life-threatening retaliation. It's a vicious fight. After several envenomations, the rat snake finally succumbs to the cobra's toxins. With a slight repositioning, the cobra begins to swallow the entire reptile head first. Eating an animal of this length might be a challenge, but the cobra's digestive tract is a long tube, similar to its body shape. And the rat snake fits perfectly. As the tail disappears, the king cobra has once again proven that it is the king of snakes. Despite its notoriety for such bold attacks on its own kind, the king cobra is shy when it comes to humans. It only bites when cornered or provoked. When that happens, humans unfortunately don't have a magic mutation to make them immune. If they're bitten, death can come quickly in just 30 minutes. The king cobra's venom contains peptides and proteins that target nerve cells and block the muscle's response to neurotransmitters that normally stimulate the diaphragm to contract. The result is respiratory paralysis and eventually death. The only way out is rapid access to anti-venom or artificial respiration until the effects of the venom subside. Toxins are a powerful offensive weapon, but they work just as well for defense. While venomous animals must inject their toxins, poisons only need to be touched, inhaled, or ingested to take effect. The rain-soaked jungles of South America are home to one of the most poisonous animals in the world. It's an amphibian famous among locals, as deadly as it is fascinating, the poison dart frog. Like brightly colored jewels set against a backdrop of jungle green, various species of poison dart frogs come in a range of vibrant colors and patterns. Bite-sized and easy prey, the frog would naturally be on the menu for many predators. But in nature, these bright colors often serve as warning signs for dangerous chemicals on board. The poison dart frog is no exception. Its toxin is so deadly that it was once used by local hunters to poison their arrow tips, hence the name poison dart frog. The golden poison dart frog from Colombia is only 5 centimeters long, but has enough poison to kill 10 people. The frog doesn't produce the poison itself. Instead, it extracts and concentrates the key chemicals from the beetles, ants, and other small invertebrates it eats. It's believed that the poison dart frog, like other frogs, hunts by drumming or twitching its toes. These small movements are irresistible to prey species. And they have another trick to lure them in when they appear: long, sticky tongues. But any attempt to eat or even lick one of these pretty frogs will cause them to sweat poison and release a deadly foaming load from glands on their back. The secretion contains batrachotoxin. It can devastate the nervous system even in tiny amounts. Batrachotoxin is one of the most potent toxins known, causing paralysis and death. One of its effects is to switch on all the nerves in the body, similar to the funnel web spider's venom, but this poison acts on the nerves of almost every species it contacts. Some can be mild, like local irritation. Others cause brain damage, hallucinations, respiratory paralysis, high blood pressure, seizures, and death. There are many species of poison dart frogs carrying a range of alkaloid poisons. The neurotoxic effects can also vary. Those with the brightest patterns are also the deadliest. But what is a potent poison in the wild can prove life-saving in the lab. Some alkaloids kill cancer cells. Others, like the molecule epibetadine, can numb pain and are up to 200 times more potent than morphine. If these could be developed to remove the toxicity, they could represent the painkillers of the future. Bright colors in nature serve as such an effective warning that some animals gain protection through a well-rehearsed deception. This is a deadly coral snake, an eye-catcher with its bright rings of scarlet, black, and pale yellow. But this look-alike is not venomous at all. It's a coral snake mimic. Subtle differences in the scales can distinguish them from each other, like the order of the colored rings. But there's enough similarity to sow doubt in the minds of potential predators. It's an evolutionary trait known as Batesian mimicry. In Costa Rica, there's strong selection among predators that avoid anything that looks like a coral snake because there's a high price for any animal that makes a mistake, and that price is death. Even a mediocre mimic is likely to avoid harm. So it's a perfectly developed camouflage that works very effectively on the normally curious coati. The coati is a bit like a raccoon with an unusually long nose that helps it find prey under rocks, including small snakes. But the coral snake mimic isn't deterred. It continues on its way. The moment the coati spots the brightly striped wanderer, it flees in the opposite direction. Even in areas where the venomous version of the coral snake has long been extinct, predators still avoid the mimic, just in case. In the rainforests of northern Australia, a curious and charming resident lives on a spiny pandanus leaf. Here, the peppermint stick insect spends almost its entire life. It eats the plant, reproduces on it, and benefits from its spiny protection. Its body fits neatly into the natural curve of the long leaf. But for agile predators that have no trouble moving through such terrain, the insect has a plan B. Today, a hungry giant crab spider is in for a nasty shock. It approaches from behind. A particularly unwise move, because directly beneath the peppermint stick insect's head are 2 directed nozzles. They emit a milky spray with a peppermint scent, containing chemicals the insect derives from its food. These are known to be particularly irritating to the eyes, and when you have 8 of them, the feeling can't be pleasant. The peppermint stick insect is left alone to continue its lunch. When British biologists received their first specimen of the Australian platypus, they thought it was a joke, sewn together from various body parts of completely different animals. It has a bill and webbed feet like a duck, a tail like a beaver, a skeleton like a reptile, and claws like a small bear. This makes the river-dwelling, egg-laying platypus one of the most fascinating animals in the world. But it gets even stranger. This small furry puzzle is also one of the few venomous mammals. The venom isn't used for hunting. The platypus hunts mostly at night with its duck-like bill, which is filled with special cells that can detect the fine electrical fields generated by prey. Like a sixth sense, they allow the platypus to locate insect larvae, crayfish, and shrimp that are often difficult to see in murky rivers. So the platypus doesn't need venom for its meal. Instead, it's used to gain an advantage over love rivals. The venom is produced by males mainly during the breeding season and is a powerful weapon against other males. A chemical firebomb that says, "Back off, she's mine." When they fight, they wrap their legs around each other and stab with their short, rear leg spurs. These curved daggers unleash a flood of toxic chemicals that can temporarily paralyze the affected limb. If a human is unfortunate enough to receive a stab from the platypus's spurs, the consequences can be extremely unpleasant. The wound swells, and the toxins cause a burning, paralyzing pain that even the strongest painkillers can't alleviate. Effects can also include nausea and cold sweats, but the most unbearable factor is the longevity of the pain, which can last for days, weeks, even months. But since the platypus is mostly active at night and underwater, focused on its next meal and its love life, humans are largely safe from its envenomations. Deep in the jungles of South America, far below the forest canopy, a highly venomous nomad ventures out in search of a snack. A large, intimidating spider that likes to hide in the folds of giant banana leaves until it emerges to hunt. This is the Brazilian wandering spider. Unlike other spiders, it doesn't spin a web or lie in wait to ambush. It actively wanders through its environment to search for prey. And this is a spider ramble you'd better not mess with. It's one of the most venomous spiders in the world. Red hairs around the fangs serve as a good warning to other potential predators to leave it alone. And with a leg span of about 15 centimeters, the spider takes on anything it can sink its large fangs into. It takes only a small amount of venom to kill its smaller prey like beetles or other insects. But the spider is a ruthless and cannibalistic hunter, even taking down large spiders of its own species. And its potent venom also works against vertebrates, expanding its diet to animals like small reptiles and frogs. After injection, the venom has a paralyzing effect on the victim. The spider can then inject enzymes that break down the tissue for easy consumption. Attacks on humans are mostly in self-defense, but that's surprisingly common. The spider's habit of hiding in the folds of banana leaves provides the two species with a unique and unfortunate opportunity for collision. When a human is bitten, severe pain at the bite site is followed by symptoms like sweating and goosebumps. The venom contains a range of different toxic peptides that disrupt the normal function of nerve cells. This venom is primarily neurotoxic. Effects can range from high or low blood pressure, rapid or slow heartbeat, dizziness, convulsions, and excessive sweating. But because the spider bites in self-defense, it usually doesn't discharge its entire venom at once. Severe bites are therefore rare. Grasslands cover about a quarter of the Earth's land surface. To the casual observer, they may seem barren, but these prairies and savannas can be surprisingly rich. Sometimes they support as much biodiversity as rainforests. They provide critical and unique habitats for some of the world's most fascinating and venomous animals. The plains of sub-Saharan Africa are home to a particularly venomous resident, the black mamba, the fastest land snake in the world and one of its deadliest. With its head raised more than a meter high, racing through the grass, it's a truly fearsome sight. When they sense danger, they head for denser vegetation. A gaping ink-black mouth and a flattened neck are a sure sign of a threatened mamba and a good reason to back off. But despite being a nervous, shy snake, the black mamba will usually only attack when cornered. It prefers to use its speed to flee. Like most cold-blooded creatures, the black mamba is active during the day. Every morning and afternoon, you can see it lying in the sun for hours. But this mamba isn't looking for a branch to rest on. It's spotted lunch, and the warm-blooded kind. Tasting the air and the presence of its fat, furry neighbor, the reptile approaches slowly. Its gray scales are well camouflaged against the bark. While the rodent is distracted, the snake seizes its chance. Black mambas usually strike several times in quick succession. Their venom works quickly, especially on a small mammal like this one. The adult mamba carries about 12 to 20 drops of venom per fang. Just 2 drops can kill an adult human. The mamba's venom contains peptides and proteins that prevent nerves from communicating with muscles, leading to paralysis. It also contains toxins that can act directly on the heart. Without antivenom, death in humans can occur in just 20 minutes, and it's a certainty. Without treatment, the mortality rate is 100%. higher than any other venomous snake in the world. Within minutes, the rodent has fallen from its branch. As it's slowly swallowed, enzymes in the snake's saliva begin to break down the tissue. Within a few hours, it will be completely digested. Not all fast snakes are active hunters. On the other side of the world, the Australian death adder moves silently across the leaf litter. It's searching for an ideal spot to coil up and wait. The death adder is an ambush hunter, and despite a short, stocky body, it's one of the fastest striking snakes known. When it's found the right spot, it lies very, very still, coiled like a spring. It can remain in this position for days, waiting patiently. When the right meal appears, it begins to move, initially in barely perceptible ways, twitching like a small worm or a tiny lizard. Its tail works deceptively to lure other potential predators. A lizard has fallen for the ruse. The adder's tail twitches and sways in an enticing display, while the rest of the snake remains motionless. The death adder has the longest and most mobile fangs of any Australian snake. They inject a highly potent venom, and the neurotoxin quickly paralyzes the lizard. The snake waits until the animal is dead before eating it whole. Most Australians will never see a death adder in the wild, even if they walk right past it. But when the snake strikes, death is possible. In humans, the effects come on slowly and only appear after hours. But eventually, the venom can paralyze the voluntary muscles, leading to respiratory failure. Other symptoms include abdominal pain, headache, drowsiness, and swollen lymph nodes. And before the antivenom was developed, about half of all bitten people died. Living up to its name, the death adder remains one of Australia's most venomous snakes. Australia is known for its highly venomous biodiversity, and even the smallest don't disappoint. At up to 4 centimeters long, the bulldog ant fears no intruder. Its large compound eyes give it excellent eyesight. They're only outdone by its huge, jagged pincers. Although they look painful, the business is at the rear end. Inside is a stinger waiting to be unleashed, and it's loaded with venom. It's closely related to bee venom, but the ant can sting multiple times and in swarms, and several people have died from the effects, making it the world's most dangerous ant. Any creature that crosses the bulldog ant's path will feel its effects, which are both unique and severe, as this unfortunate centipede is about to discover. As the ants grip with their pincers, they curl their barbless stingers into the victim. The ant's venom has a simple, brutal effect. It punches holes in the surface of every cell it contacts, killing them. This effect is called cytotoxic. It's toxic to all cells. That makes it perfect for killing insect prey and causing intense pain when injected into a mammal that unfortunately wanders near the nest. Against a persistent mob, even the many legs of a centipede aren't enough for a quick escape. The animal is flipped over for better access to its soft underbelly. As the venom takes effect, any remaining fight in the centipede fades, and it's quickly carried away. Adult ants are limited by their thin necks and what they can eat. They like sweet and sticky meals like honeydew on leaves, nectar, seeds, and fruit. But their larvae are carnivorous. Fresh prey is brought into the nest to feed the growing brood and expand their army. The nest can extend several meters underground, with eggs and larvae kept in special chambers away from the main tunnel. They are the product of a single queen ant, whose main job in life is reproduction. While she produces eggs, the other worker ants take care of her needs and feed the voracious young. The larvae signal their hunger by standing upright and swinging their bodies back and forth. They need a constant army of ants out looking for more victims. Their main prey is other insects like this slow beetle, easily dispatched by a single ant. It will soon succumb to the venom and be fed to the waiting larvae. But even bees with wings and their own sting can fall victim to their insatiable appetite. While the bee's stinger is a one-use weapon, the ant's stinger is barbless and can sting multiple times. Outnumbered and outmatched, the bee is dispatched and dragged back to the nest to be processed by the hungry white larvae. Insect carcasses are torn apart by the worker ant's jaws so the larvae can dip in and consume the contents. Eventually, when they've gorged themselves and fattened up, they spin themselves a pupal cocoon of silk. It's made from small twisted proteins that wind around each other and eventually form a light and strong casing that protects the pupa during its transformation. Metamorphosis takes about a month. When their pincers begin to chew through the casing, adult ants are on hand to help. The newcomer finally frees itself from its silken cocoon, indistinguishable from the older ones except for a lighter body. Armed with a fresh pair of pincers and a new stinger, it's time to join the army. Bulldog ants are extremely successful. Their lineage goes back 50 million years, long enough to have stung a dinosaur or two in their past. The red-bellied black snake is one of the most frequently seen snakes in eastern Australia because it shares with humans a love of sun and water. It likes to stay near streams, swamps, and lagoons, moving between shady and sunny spots to maintain an even body temperature. Today, a native spotted marsh frog has caught the eye of the red-bellied black snake. Its glossy black scales can camouflage the reptile in the streambed, but with its back turned, the frog is a sitting target. The snake's venom is a mixture of myotoxins, which cause muscle weakness, neurotoxins, and chemicals that affect blood clotting. Victims can lose their sense of taste and smell, as well as their lives. But for the red-bellied black snake, its toxins are life-givers, bringing another meal and another day in the Australian sun. During mating season, competition for females can be fierce. Males often engage in long fights that can last up to half an hour. The struggle for dominance can involve biting, but fortunately they're immune to each other's venom. The fight is more like a wrestling match. Each snake tries to push the other's head down with its chin. Without limbs, the wrestling moves are somewhat limited. In dark, dry corners of grasslands, forests, and the garden shed, Australia's second deadliest spider lies in wait. The redback spider lives practically anywhere there's enough food and a place to spin its web, and that's often near humans. The female is the larger of the two sexes, with a distinctive red stripe on her round, bulbous abdomen. At first glance, her web looks like a tangled mess, without the symmetry or beauty of a traditional garden spider. But this is a finely tuned death trap, usually built along the usual paths that prey travel. The lower component is fitted with a series of trip lines connected under tension to the ground, and a grasshopper stumbles over one of these gossamer threads. Light vibrations travel down the trip line, and that's the signal the spider has been waiting for. She springs into action. The grasshopper jumps right into the wrong position. The spider turns her rear end toward it and throws strand after strand of a special sticky silk called gumfoot silk, which she uses to wrap her prey over and over. The silk is incredibly strong, and resistance is futile. Once the prey is wrapped and bitten, it's carried to the upper part of the web, like in a giant shopping bag. As the spider travels, she detaches and reattaches a series of silk threads to reach the spot where she can settle down and feed. The venom liquefies the insect's insides so the spider can slowly suck it out. The female rarely leaves her web, but is responsible for most bites to humans, mainly because people accidentally stick their hand right into the spider's web. That happens with surprising frequency. The redback spider produces venom in its mouth parts, which it injects through two hollow fangs. Widow spiders like the redback have a secret weapon not found in other spiders, giant proteins called latrotoxins. These special neurotoxic proteins produce a syndrome known as latrodectism. It's typically characterized by the onset of extreme pain, muscle weakness, nausea, headache, fever, high blood pressure, and vomiting. Since an antivenom was developed, no deaths have been recorded. When redback spiders mate, it's often the male's final performance, because the female eats him shortly after, and even during, sex. With the stored sperm, she can lay multiple egg sacs over 2 years. After about 2 weeks in the egg sac, around 250 baby spiders hatch. As they spread across the web, finding food is a priority. And even newborn, the spiders are ruthless. They cannibalize their own siblings to gain an advantage in food. But not every animal avoids the redback's web. Some other arachnids, like the Porsche jumping spider, have learned the tricks of dealing with these death traps. It moves gently across the silk toward the babies without triggering the alarm. It's a delicate tightrope act, but for this master of web breaking, the juicy youngsters are a snack worth having. In the grasslands of Africa, an extreme ambush hunter lurks. Many other snakes are more venomous than this one, but the puff adder is responsible for more deaths on the continent than any other snake. It can be found in a variety of environments, but is rarely seen, because unlike other snakes, it doesn't move away when approached. Instead, it relies on its wonderful camouflage, which can be so effective that the snake is only discovered when it's too late. It can puff up and hiss as a warning, but if the warning sign is ignored, things can quickly turn nasty. Like other vipers, the puff adder has hollow, long, hinged fangs. When it strikes, they fold out and deliver a painful bite with a deeply penetrating venom, perfect for taking down a rat. The fast-acting venom contains toxins that disrupt blood clotting and punch holes in cells. It's a deadly mixture. The tissue necrosis caused by the venom aids digestion, a process that has already begun before the rat is consumed. Its reluctance to move and its rapid striking ability can also be a deadly combination for unsuspecting humans. The venom causes almost immediate swelling at the bite site and rapid changes in blood pressure and heart rate. Within 4 hours, the victim can experience internal bleeding as well as nausea, fever, and organ failure. Without treatment, death can follow quickly. A critical shortage of antivenoms in sub-Saharan Africa means that many health centers are not equipped to treat the bite.